All right, yo, we live on location. California living, man. My man Stevie on the strip. He brought us out here to his home, man. Opened up his house. We out here close to a beach. I ain't gonna tell y'all which one. That's private information. But man, we appreciate you having us out to the crib, man. Jumping down with the Knuckleheads. Y'all check this one out, man. It's back-to-back MVP Hall of Famer, Steve Nash, y'all.
Yeah. So when you first got to the league, who's the first person to bust your ass?
In a game?
In a game that you was like, oh, I'm on the level. Like this shit is
You know
real.
what? I mean, I'm sure there was, you go around the league, you're gonna get it sometimes, right?
Of course.
But I remember one time we played Sacramento, and Mitch Richmond was heating up.
Oh, Lord.
And I remember Danny was like, Rook, go in there, just get up in him. Like, I mean, I'm not known for my defense, but when I was a young player, I guard a little more because I wasn't like burdened with the offensive stuff. So they're like, you get in there and just make it difficult on him. He's gonna post you up, we'll double, but on the perimeter, get in him. So like he legit was like, I think you could throw him off his rhythm. Which most people listen to this now would be like, what? But but like that at the time, that was how I got minutes in a sense. And so threw me out there. He just kind of got hot and he cooked me. And I just remember feeling so helpless. Like I couldn't do. Like I couldn't help because he was just brushing me off and like
shoot right over you.
But like no rim, you know what I mean? It was
straight
bottoms. Every time I was like, oh my God, this is embarrassing. Like,
why me? Why
you know
now?
What I mean? Like, it's embarrassing. Like the ball's not touching the rim. Like every time down, I'm like, what is happening?
So I want to go back to the beginning, right? Because your dad played pro soccer. Like, did you start playing basketball first, or did you naturally just play like what? Because I know I know you were sick. You still are sick at soccer.
I don't know about that, but thank you. Appreciate you spreading the good word for me. But my dad was my parents are from the UK. My parents are from London. My mom's Welsh, but grew up in London. My dad grew up in London, soccer player. So when we moved to Canada, I wasn't even a year old. I don't like 11 months, I think. And so my dad didn't even know nothing about basketball. So I grew up playing soccer, hockey, because we were in Canada, baseball, box lacrosse.
Chess.
I played chess in elementary school, like for whatever reason. I don't even know why I did that. But I played everything. I played everything you could play. And then when I got to the 8th grade, I went to where I grew up in Canada, junior high was grades 8, 9, 10. High school was 11, 12.
Wow.
And so I went to the 8th grade at a new school, and all the jocks, so to speak, that were playing on the playground every day were playing basketball. And it was like right around the time like the first Air Jordans came out, and Mike was doing commercials with Spike Lee, and it was like this super cool time to get involved, like to love the game. And so I was 13. All the kind of like the kids that wanted a ball at my school played basketball. So I played basketball in the 8th grade, still played soccer and hockey, like on like the city select team, whatever, which was a pretty big commitment. And then, but after that year, I fell in love with basketball so much that I just stopped playing soccer and hockey on like the club team, so to speak. And that was it. I just played hoops every day after that to be with my friends, but also because I totally fell in love with it.
MJ effect.
Yeah.
I mean,
100%. 100%.
That's what you was seeing most of the time is MJ?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's weird to think back, but especially growing up in Canada, like you didn't get as much. Like, we didn't have ESPN, right? And ESPN was young then, I think, in the late 80s. Well, when would I have been? I would have been 13, so it would have been like 87.
Yeah.
ESPN was probably young. I can't remember when it founded, but we didn't have it in Canada. So we get like college basketball on ABC, right? Like CBS, whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
And we would get like 1 or 2 NBA games a week, but there was no league pass. There was like I used to record on a VHS all the games and like take stuff from everybody and just go out in like the schoolyard behind my house and just try to recreate it.
So when did you start getting like recruited in college? Well, in high school, like by colleges.
It really doesn't even count in a sense, but I started like I think in the 9th, 10th grade getting recognized by Canadian like colleges near me, Canadian colleges. But I got one scholarship offer to play Division I basketball by Santa Clara where I went, and I got that offer like they came like it was nobody really. It was weird actually, to be honest. I played on the junior national team the summer going into my senior year. And we played Long Beach State. They came up to Canada. We played a series with them, and I played really well.
Yeah.
And, like, they had, it was like Lucius Harris.
Okay.
Brian Russell. A couple other guys. Like, they had, like, 3 or 4 guys that played in the league.
Yeah.
And I did really well. Like, came off the bench, had a good game. After the game, their coaches came over. Like, we got to have you down for a visit. But I think they were also like, there's an LA school. There's this little, like, skinny white kid from Canada. Like, they were hyped in the moment, but then they never followed up.
Right.
And I was like, wow, that was my chance. I actually played well, and it never amounted to anything. And then so I think somehow Santa Clara had heard about me, and the coach came up to watch me play in our like provincial tournament, which is like the state championship, so to speak. And like he took me out to lunch after like our first round game or whatever, and he offered me a scholarship basically on the spot. But that was it. And so I said, okay, can I come see the school? I went on a visit and then signed. But that was it. I had one scholarship.
At the
end of my senior year. If they didn't come up, I probably would have.
But you wrote letters to other colleges.
My high school coach sent tapes to like 30 NCAA schools, like all like bigger schools, like from University of Washington, which is right by where I grew up, to Duke, like to everybody in between. And, I think it's just like the quality of the tape, the quality of the competition. Like they were probably like, no.
You ain't Canada.
Right. And we've never seen him. Why are we going to go up there? And like
y'all hear this University of Washington's and Duke and everybody in between, like, Lil Steve Nash was writing y'all letters. The future 2-time MVP, first ballot HOF.
Yeah.
He was trying to come to y'all school.
It's actually not that uncommon.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it, we all develop at different stages. Like look at Steph.
True.
Like Steph's father played in the league, played at Virginia Tech. They didn't want him.
Yeah.
Right? Like I don't know how many scholarships he had, but he ended up at Davidson.
Yeah.
Like it's not Kawhi Leonard.
He said he wanted to go to Duke.
I mean,
right?
Like Kawhi Leonard, right? Like he probably had a bunch of scholarship offers, but he ended up being a kid who went to San Diego State. Now, like he's at the top of the pyramid.
Dame Lillard, Weber State.
Where did you want to go?
Where
did you really want to go? Like,
I mean, to be honest, in some ways, I wanted to go to University of Washington because it was close, and like we had local Seattle TV where we were, so it was cool. But I also like, don't get me wrong, like I would have like gone to any of the big schools that were on TV on a Saturday, right? Like, what Duke, Carolina, Syracuse, UCLA, like whatever it is, Louisville, like all these schools that were on TV at the time. I would have been happy to go to any of them, and it's everyone has their story, but
when you got to college, like you got to work for the spot. The spot wasn't given to you. And you had to work to play in it. Like, who was the?
It was worse than that. Like when I got to Santa Clara, like I said, we all develop at different stages, and I was still like underdeveloped physically. Yeah. When we got to Santa Clara, we had a great point guard, John Woolery, came from Fairfax High School here in LA, and John struggled shooting the ball. Otherwise, he was an NBA guard. Like he was like quick, long arms. Like great defender, penetrate, can pass, and he was such a great mentor to me in a sense. One, by like when I came there my freshman year, playing in the summer, playing before season, he was ripping me, bringing the ball to the court all the time. When I was a guy that I lived off my handle. Like I was proud of my handle.
Right.
And there's this guy that's like taking the ball from me. I was like, this is crazy. How I want to play in the NBA. Like even though I had one scholarship, I really wanted to play in the NBA, and I thought I could do it. Yeah. And I had this kind of plan that I could do this and I'll get there one day. But it's an awakening. When you go to a school you'd almost never heard of. Right. I really hadn't heard of it until they recruited me. I'd never heard of John, right? And he's killing me. I'm like, how am I ever going to make it if the first stop I ever make, I can't even like get off the bench? But he helped me grow, right? Like I learned from him because of his athleticism.
Playing
and
against
him every day. And taking the ball from me, learning. And so what happened was we started the season, I was his backup. I played like 10 minutes a game. And then at Christmas he had a scope on his knee. And so he missed like 3 or 4 games. And I stepped in and played really, really well. Yeah. And so they were like, okay, you're going to back John up and you're going to play the backup too as well. So I ended up playing by the end of the year 30 minutes a game and actually like super pat on the back, but it was the conference tournament MVP and we made the NCAAs. Yeah. Like had a big game and the game to go. But like in like December, that was impossible.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like it all happened fast where like I grew and I grew a lot because of John, not just the way he pushed me and challenged me, but he also accepted me. Yeah. Right? Like when I got better, he wasn't like, no, I'm not down. I'm not good with this. Yeah. Right? He was like, no, you're getting better and we need you. Like, go.
Teammates.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, go. Like go to work. And so like you have to have people like that some steps in your career. Right? Like Michael Finley for me and Dirk. He was the all-star.
Right? That's my OG right there.
He was mine.
Hoops. I never played with him on the team, but just in that gym, you know how he is. Like seeing what he do. Him and Juwan, they were them statues of just perfection, professionalism for me. Yeah. So Finn definitely.
He was always a great friend, great teammate. And when Dirk and I, like, and for lack of a better word, because I never saw it this way when we eclipsed him. When you look back. Right, he was the all-star. He was an all-star 2 years in a row, and Dirk and I grew, and he empowered us. He let us grow. Then we made the all-star game, and he didn't. Yeah, he never once, like, ever stepped in the way of that verbally. Yeah, like emotionally. Yeah, like that's
you didn't feel that off him when you.
He was 100% down with it all. Like that. Like that's a good human being. One, and like we're lucky that was our vet. Like that was our guy that like. You know, like he handed it over in a sense. Like we still needed him. He was still a great player, still playing at an all-star level. But he empowered us to be our best. And like if you don't have people like that along the way, who knows? Like right, like.
We should thank him. Me and my Phoenix teammates should thank him for putting that on you so that you came out the way you were. By the time we got to him, we couldn't be happy.
Like when you was in the draft, you know.
The legendary draft.
The legendary draft, like the greatest, one of the greatest drafts arguably. Where did you want to go?
I didn't know Phoenix for sure at all. Yeah. The only 2 others was Vancouver, being that I'm from British Columbia. Yeah. And they had, I can't remember, they got Sharif, so they had the 2nd pick, I think. And then they also had like the 20-something pick, I think Roy Rogers. So there was like, I wasn't going to be the 2nd pick, but was there a trade in the works, or would I last to the 20s or whatever? And then the other one was Minnesota. They had, I think, 4, and they took Marbury, and it was like they weren't sure if they were going to trade down for me, because they had me there for I stayed there for like 3 or 4 days. You know, usually you go for a workout, you're in and out. Right. I stayed, like they had me hang with them for a minute, so I was like, you know, you get a sense that maybe they're more serious, and maybe they'll but they ended up taking Steph, and to be honest, it was just a surprise on the day. I didn't know really one way or another. Yeah. Yeah.
So how is that? How do you feel when you get there? You go from possibly going to Minnesota, being part of a young core with Kevin Garnett coming up, but then you get there, and now you got KJ, Kevin Johnson, and Jason Kidd sitting in front of you.
Well, when I got drafted, it was just Kevin Johnson. They traded for Jason Kidd, though, in December of my rookie year, which is crazy, right? You got Kevin Johnson, then you go out and get like one of the best point guards in the game. Yeah. So I'm like right away like,
Right.
But I was always an underdog, right? And a late bloomer, like always like one scholarship, like I graduated, right? Like I was always like late catching up in a sense, maybe because I started playing when I was 13, maybe because I just physically wasn't like your typical NBA player. Like I wasn't very explosive.
the knowledge of it.
The knowledge, but also like I wasn't explosive.
Yeah.
Right. So I think for me to get to the level, I had to like be creative and like refine my skills and like get a little more athletic to where I was in the ballpark, you know, like just as far as staying with guys and getting by people. And so it was like one of those things where I like took the whole thing as like, I'm fortunate to be here. I want to learn and I want to grow and I want to play a long time. And so I came in the league not really expecting a lot. I think people thought I'd be a career backup. Yeah. I thought I'm going to be really good one day, but it's going to take time and it's going to be a process. So I was like happy to learn from KJ. And then when we got Jason Kidd, instead I was excited. Like this at the time was one of the best PGs in the game in the league. It was his third year in the league. He's already been an all-star. He was rookie of the year. So I was excited in a sense to learn from one of the best. And like the world wasn't as small then. Nowadays, like half the leagues in LA playing together all summer. You see everything on YouTube, Instagram, whatever, like you want. Back then it wasn't so small. Like so to get that type of access to a great player was like a gift. And I took it that way instead of like, this is BS, I need to get out of town and have my own show. I was like, this is a great opportunity for me to learn and to compete and competing in practice and just watching Jason compete, like it gave me confidence that I could, you know, do that one day. And so I never looked at it. I never looked down upon it. I always looked at it as a great opportunity. And I always say that one of the biggest accomplishments in my career was my second year in the league was that I did play like 22 minutes a game. Yeah. Because like Kevin Johnson and Jason Kidd. And so to actually get minutes. And part of it I was lucky because Danny Ainge was crazy enough to play the three of us together. Yeah. But, you know, I also earned him saying, I'm going to play all three of you together because it could, you know, 99% of the situations like, we like you, but you're going to have to sit and watch. Yeah. So that for me was pivotal and a great experience. And then I went to Dallas the next year.
Yeah. How did you feel about being in Dallas and they was committed to you?
Great. I mean, it was crazy because I went to Dallas. They gave me a good deal, but I wasn't like that heralded outside of Phoenix. I think Phoenix was like, wow, we have a kid here that we think could be really good, and he's shown a lot of glimpses and promise. But the rest of the league, you know, I don't know, or at least the fans didn't know. Right. So I went to Dallas. They're like, well, we gave this little guy all this money, which wasn't crazy at the time, but it was like they committed to me. And then it was my third year in the league. My first year in Dallas was the lockout year, the 50-game season. So we were playing a pickup game in like January, like a week before the lockout broke. And I went to the basket and someone knocked me out of the air and I landed on my back. My back was bugging me like really bad the whole year. And so we played 40 games where I wasn't moving well. I was kind of struggling. I played poorly. You know, fans were on me. And then we had a shoot around and Nelly had us playing dribble tag. How crazy is that nowadays, right? And so we were playing the dribble tag. I got a back spasm. Never had a back spasm in my life. So they wheeled me out in a wheelchair. I couldn't walk for 2 days. It's scary, right? Like 20, whatever. I was 23, 24 years old. And so I went to the doctor and they had x-rays and they're like, you have a condition called spondylolisthesis, like a stress fracture in your spine and one of your like vertebrae is slipped like millimeters. And so, which they're like 20% of the population has, but for an athlete it can be problematic. Like you have to really stay on top of it and do all these exercises. And so that's why I struggled that year and a little bit subsequently because I was dealing with something. And so it was a rough ride in Dallas at first. There was a time I was playing point. Obviously, it started at the point. I think I got booed every time I touched the ball. So I'd get it after they scored, dribble up the court. They booed me. I went 0 for 8. We were playing and it was when we were one of the worst teams in the league. We were playing the Rockets, Charles Barkley, Clyde Drexler. So it's sold out in Dallas. I got booed at home every time I touched the ball. Yeah,
that's tough.
Crazy, right? And my younger brother, when he was playing professional soccer in England at the time, I think he had a break as he was playing for Canada. And whatever reason, it was his first time he saw me play. And then, man. And I'll never forget, I looked over at him, kind of like, this is crazy. And he's in his seat dying laughing at me. And it kind of gave me perspective, right. Look, you know what, it's not permanent, right?
Yeah.
Like you're getting
That's
crushed
awesome.
right now, but it's no big deal. So, but I think like that experience, like it just makes you tougher, right?
Makes
like
you tougher.
if you respond to it and say, I'm not giving up, like I'm not gonna let this affect me. I'm gonna so I was like, I'm doubling down. I'm gonna work harder,
Right.
like extra hard, so that I'd never, if I'm ever asked the question again subconsciously, like maybe not, like should I quit? Should I take the edge? Take a step down. I never want to. That question's never in doubt. No, like I'm going for it.
I would never have thought you ever got booed there. If I could just think back to, you remember our season, the first time you went back.
Right.
This the president. No BS. I was like, whatever, we going back. I done been a couple of teams where guys go back to their former city. I done went back to my former, whatever. This ain't Steve Nash going back to Dallas, boy. We got back. They remember when we landed the airplane landed. Fans, news, people was there.
I barely remember that, but
I was sitting there, I said, man, what's going on, bro? We at the airport. Then when we get to the hotel, fans deep up in that, boy. All Steve Nash gear. You know how when you get that fans be there waiting? I said, so for me, I would not, like, that's a crazy story to hear that he got booed. Every time he touched the ball to go from that to, like, when we came back, they was mad at Cuban for not bringing them back, for letting them go away to us. And it was like the homecoming. It was crazy.
Yeah. Crazy
reception. Did they do a video? I don't know if they did a video, but I know the reception. They didn't need to. The reception, I was impressed. I
think it was also because Dirk and I came there as like guys that people were really unsure about.
Yeah.
I was traded there. So they gave me a good deal, but like wasn't like like a secure, like it wasn't like a starter or anything yet. Dirk was the same day was drafted by them. So we start this thing together. We're the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
But with Mike Finley, we went from the worst team in the league to conference finals against the Spurs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we took a big jump in 6 years that I think like the city kind of grew with us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was, that was super like influential.
Seen you and Dirk get better.
Right. They saw us grow up.
Yeah.
Before their eyes, from not just like that we became legit NBA players, but we were close. Like we lost to San Antonio. And Dirk got hurt, missed 2 games. We won one without him, lost 4-2, but we're right in it, right?
Yeah.
So, we almost went to the finals from the worst team in the league, and they saw us both go from being, killed to getting there. So I think there was, a little bit of a special vibe because of, we started really, really down there deep in the mud.
So talk about how y'all two came together and just, hit it off and still one of the all-time best duos, you know what I'm saying, that did it. And like you say, weren't sure shots to do it.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying, that's what made a lot of people take even more to y'all, that y'all came up together. Y'all started, like you say, started out together doing it and became a great duo. Like, how did y'all hit it off? Like, what was, when you and him first met, how was that?
The day I came for my press conference after the draft, Dirk came too for his. He was the first pick, whatever. I can't remember. He was picks 7, 8, 9, or whatever it was. And so we did our press conference together. They were try to recruit him. We had a party at Nelly's house, went over to his house. They were try to recruit Dirk. We want him to come this year. Because the idea for him, from his standpoint, was draft me and I'm going to go back home and play a year or 2 in Germany because he was only 18, 19 or whatever he was. And I think he'd risen quickly. He was totally not known, and then he made his way to the Hoop Summit, then had 38
I played
on the
against him in that game.
You did?
Yeah.
He went off, right?
Yeah.
I didn't really get to play in that game, but
He went off, and so he had this quick rise, and so the Mavs were like, we need him, let's get him over here, let's get him assimilated and develop him, whereas from his perspective it was hold on, I just broke onto the scene, I want my mom's cooking, I want to play for my local team. And so they're recruit him. So I try to encourage him. I mean, more so you have a friend here. I'm going through this too. I'm just moving here. If you come here, I'll be here to help you learn the culture and the league. And so in a sense, I don't want to like make in any sense like this to sound, you know what I mean?
Right.
I was like a big brother in a sense, like
Yeah.
by, you know, like, but I was still like trying to
Still
figure it
young,
out
you
myself.
figure
But
it
I
out
was a
yourself.
big brother to him, and that I wanted to like see him succeed and see him more than anything transition easily.
Yeah.
For me, it was easier because like Canada's not that different, right?
Yeah.
That different. Too. I went to college in the States.
Yeah.
So but I also could understand more so than maybe an American player
Right,
how
yeah.
different Germany is,
Yeah.
right? And what the differences are and where he comes from. And so, and my parents are from the UK, and like, so I kind of had a little more of an international understanding, right?
Yeah.
And so I could see what a jump it was for him. And I could see also Dirk was like a timid guy. Like he was like, you know, we remember him now as like this, not only a great player, but like a killer at the end of games. He was
Right.
like, you know, like
Deadly killer.
closer,
Yeah.
right? That wasn't his personality at first. He had to overcome with a lot of hard work and like, you know, he grew into that. Like when he first came here, he'd be like he'd say stuff, and I know he's exaggerating, but he'd be like, "What are we doing here?" Like, you know, like a couple of white stiffs. Like we're gonna get our ass kicked. You know what I mean? And I'd have to be like, dude, like just you're good. Like,
Yeah.
just stay with it. And I know some of it was just him like you know, like he's a long way from home and all this stuff. But he literally went from that kind of mindset to like, give me the ball. Don't worry, it's over.
Yeah.
like legit
Yeah.
against anybody, right?
Yeah.
So like,
no matter who going.
right. So but that is like the leap he took because he was so dedicated to his craft, you know?
Yeah. Which in the league at that time, power forward was murder, especially in the
Right.
West. You had Rasheed,
Yep.
KG, Weber, and he got to play against them.
And at the time he came in the league, you know, power forwards really posted up.
Yeah.
Right? Like all the guys you mentioned could shoot, especially mid range,
Yeah.
but they really posted up deep in the paint and tried to punish you with big like guys who would try to bully you.
Yeah.
And so he had to like he was the first kind of like prototypical stretch 4, stretch 5 sometimes. But he came in the league, they're thinking, is he going to be a 3? Because he handled the ball and was mobile. He wasn't explosive, but he was mobile, you know, and he had skills. And so when it all like, you know, shook down, obviously he found his position and became what he became. But, you know, from the start, it was like, you know, two young guys just trying to make it and pushing each other and going to the gym twice a day, right? Like we lived in the same apartment complex, you know, two single guys, like going to gym in the morning with like the team, you know, like you go and like maybe a little bit of like in the off season, you go and like you hit the strength coach a little bit, then you get on the court, then you play pickup. You know, it's still kind of, you know, but then we would come back at night and play one-on-one, horse, and like push each other, like whatever, maybe conditioning, whatever. Like that was the the foundation, I think, of like our relationship, but also our growth, right?
Yeah.
We needed that. We needed to go back.
Push each other.
Push and like not just to believe deeper, but to also get better. Like we weren't like, it wasn't like we just needed an opportunity. We needed to grow. We needed to develop. We needed to assimilate the speed of the game. Like,
if I'm not mistaken, you mentioned y'all had the press conference. Didn't both of y'all have like blonde hair or something like that?
Dirk is blonde. Yeah. But I had
well, you had blonde hair, okay.
So my brother and I, that summer I was still in Phoenix, like bleached our hair completely blonde, like being idiots. And so of course by the time like a month or two later, the press conference, I was halfway back to normal and I had like frosted tips. But I didn't go and like frost my tips. I just didn't like
little instinct.
Yeah, exactly. So I was at one point like totally blonde, and then I went to the press conference looking like an idiot. But
did you ever think that you would leave Dallas? Like you weren't going?
No, I mean it was like I first of all, like Finn and Dirk were like family. Dirk and I were super close because we were like in the same apartment complex. But Finn was like my guy, still my guy, but like a big brother to me. And played so well together, developed together. He, like I said, like passed the torch to us so graciously in a sense. I wanted to stay, but I think Mark Cuban, and this has been covered a million times, but he saw me. I was 30, and like he didn't know I was going into like my late prime. He thought and at the time I played a little more of a kamikaze style. Like I was going to the cup in transition 100 miles an hour, like taking contact, like throwing stuff up. And so I think he was like, and I had a back history. So he was like, this is going to run its course. So why would I want to commit to him for 5-6 years? I get it. It makes sense. You know, I was disappointed and I thought I'd stay there. Finish my career there. You know, we're all idealistic when you're in that situation that it fits, right? Why would I go? Like I'm producing, and
your best friends is there.
The duo.
Your boys are there. The duo and the trio with Finn, and you know what also killed me a little bit that year is that we my last year there we had my second last year there made the conference final, right? My last year there we acquired Anton Jameson, Antoine Walker. And two great players, but they also play the same position as Dirk. And so my default is to pass. And so I spent the first half of that season I like just trying to facilitate, figure this whole thing out. So my scoring and my shooting percentage were really down. And I don't think at the time we were sophisticated enough to realize that the second half of the season, I think I shot like well over 50%. But overall, it looked like I shot 41% from the field. So I went from whatever high 40s to 41, and I'm 30, and I have a bad back. And I think Mark thought, I know where this is going. We see it forever in the NBA. You get to 30, you're a point guard, it's going down. So in his defense, you know, that was probably a smart outlook. You know, nowadays maybe you look into the numbers and someone's work ethic and what we know physically about the body and all that stuff. But so I never thought I'd leave, and Phoenix gave me a great opportunity to make like a deal, like a contractual deal that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to make by far. You know, and I was 30, so I couldn't turn that down. And I also looked at the roster in Phoenix, these young athletic guys that I felt like I think I can do something with these guys.
Looking at their roster, the Phoenix roster, did you think that y'all was going to be better than Dallas?
No, but I thought we could be really good, and I thought like we had a chance to surprise a lot of people. I always like go in thinking, I think this could be great, but I'm excited. It's a great opportunity, but let's see. Yeah. And so but I'll never say that like I said, right away, I'm me on that team. You know what I mean? Like that's not the way I feel. I'm like, we got to work. We got to come together. We got to figure this out. And I think we could surprise a lot of people. Yeah. But to have like the year we had was crazy, because I remember talking to Rex Chapman, who was my
Rex, charge or block or charge.
Bigger guy.
The best. But Rex was my vet. Yeah. So we were on the plane together my rookie year, all year. Like he was great to me, and like we're still friends this day, and was like a big influence on me. So he was working for the team with the Suns. He was like GM or assistant GM, I think.
Him and Super Dave.
Yeah, they were like assistant GMs, right? And so I remember at training camp, because he was my vet, like going to dinner with him one night or being in his room just like watching something on TV, and him, like us talking about it, and like him kind of being like, you know, like, I think we're going to be better than people think. But like people thought we weren't going to make the playoffs.
At all.
We were picked last in the division. Like, but before we get into that season, I have to I don't even know if you remember this story, right? So we both signed as free agents that year. Remember, we were there. We supposed to sign at midnight.
Get the deal done, right?
Sign the deal at midnight, right? So you got to remember this. So we sitting there. Remember, they had us sitting in the office. Right? Yeah. Me and you sitting in the office. We like whatever, watching something on Sports Center, just trying to. We waiting, and then it's starting to take like some time. Yeah. We like, what the hell is going on? You know. So then Rex come in. And he's like, he told us whatever. He's like, dude, we handling some things. This and the third. So then finally they come back. It turns out, remember back then you gotta I think we had agreed to whatever our deals were.
Right.
But it was under the pretense that the salary cap was going to be whatever. Right. And when it officially came in, it was lower. So that meant that somebody had to do something with their deal. So we had been sitting there for so long. Rex finally like that. I think they were trying to work it out on their own. They saw they couldn't. So they come in. They was all nervous and this, that. And so he was like, yeah, this is what's going on. And so everything happened so fast this was when I knew I was sitting there. I looked at you like, what? Wait a minute.
What's going on? Yeah.
Because he was telling us, he explained to us, somebody, the salary cap came in lower, and this is a scenario. He was like, is that what the hell? This is what you like? Is that what the hell we've been waiting on? He was like, man, take it off mine and do this. That. I turned to him and looked like, wait a minute. And I can't to this day, I can't remember how much money it was or whatever. But right then, I'll never forget that. I remember calling Jeff, telling my agent Jeff, like, and he was like, he did what? I was like, Jay, everything happens. He was like, you make sure you go to him and you tell him how much you're for you. Like, I'm like, nah, I'm like, but it was like, that was indicative of who you were for us. Like, cause it didn't take, it was no thought process. It was like, that's what we waiting on. Boom, bam, bang. Like, me and Q trying to go to the bar and celebrate and drink. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that was literally what you said. And I stopped, I looked, and everybody did. Like, Rex looked, Dave Griffin looked, that we were all like, because your agent, I want to say he was on the plane or something, and you was like, man, nah, we not waiting on this. And we was like, we trying to go. Because by that time, it was like 1-something in the morning, remember?
Right, yeah.
And it was like, I remember telling Jeff, and Jeff was like, I'm blown away by that. I'm like, weeks later, months later, he was still, I can't believe Steve Nash did that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I forgot about it till you brought it up. I don't know. It's like, I was just excited to be on the team. I was excited for him to come to the team.
Yeah.
So it was like what are we waiting on? Let's get going. So
that was crazy. Still
in training camp, when you finally got a chance to kind of mold everything and see everybody and play with them, the chemistry y'all had, like, it was like from day one y'all was kicking ass, like all season that season. Yeah, it seemed like y'all chemistry was so good. Y'all was swinging the ball. Everybody was sharing the ball. It was freely. Like, did you feel it in training camp? They're like, oh, it's going to be a problem.
I don't think we knew how we'd be in relation to the rest of the league, but we knew there was a good feeling. Like, it was fun to come in every day.
Yep.
I think also, like, we came to Phoenix early. So before training camp, we're playing pickup, in the building. And, like, you could sense, like, this is going to work. You know, like, we're pushing it's my nature to push, like, just to get it and push and create something. That's how I like to play, create opportunities and for my teammates. And so we had guys like Q and Joe and Amar'e and Sean and, all these guys that were, like, athletic, skillful. And I think for me, it was a pleasure to play with them, right? And so I just wanted to push and see what we could get, right? Even in pickup, it was, like, fun. Like, I couldn't wait to get the rebound and get out and, like, find people
like
for
track meet,
for opportunities. And so you could sense, and I think that was Mike's brilliance. Like, I don't think Mike came in with, like, this is how we're going to play. He saw us playing pickup and was like, hold on. Like, before I start being Mr. Smart Coach, let's let some of this evolve. And he was brilliant in the way he just gave us little details. Like, guys, get on the baseline. Don't creep up. Like, run to the deep corner behind the backboard.
Phil Weber.
Right.
He was the first. That was the first. Because, in my nature, especially coming from L.A., my first 4 years, I was a beast, like, sneaking in, getting tip-ins, tip dunks. And I made my living in college getting offensive rebound every single day. Phil, remember, he would be standing there in the corner. I am your spacing monitor, Mr. Richardson. You're creep. Dog. I just what he said. Like, we get deep in the corners to create the best spaces. So, my nature, I would start to, like, if the ball start moving and I think somebody, but I start edging in. I'm inside the 3-point line here every single time. Mr. Richardson, like, or I'd be coming up or either creeping in, and he'll yell at me every time about that. That was, like, Phil.
That's crazy. That's a great story.
The merge of Amar'e Stoudemire, when Amar'e got with you, he was a contender in, like, with the KGs, the Duncans. Like, he was giving them problems coming out of nowhere. A lot of people didn't see him coming, but soon, the first year he played with you, like, the dunks and everything he was doing.
Amar'e is a freak. Like, his feet, like, people talk about his jumping ability, but he has great feet to start with. Like, he is always on balance and like a coiled spring.
Yeah.
He's never off balance or, he's a great feet, great athlete, explosive, quick, fast, all those things, agile, and he had incredible hands.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a pleasure to try to draw the defense and find him in positions where where he could operate in space.
Amar'e said something when we had him on. He was like, "Man, I just know whenever I got it, when I came in, I wanted to be ferocious and make noise." And I say, "You did that, bro. You accomplished that. If you ain't do nothing else, boy, he made noises. He was nasty. I used to just shake my head like, yo, this young boy is crazy.
Amar'e, like, it's funny, right? Like, I don't even know how he's remembered by this generation, but
it ain't the right way.
He tore the rim off. He tore people's heads off on the way.
Amar'e had it when you had your MVP seasons. Amar'e had his MVP seasons too.
Yep. I think I just heard this week that he was first team All NBA in 2007, the year after a microfracture surgery.
Yeah.
Right, like, that's impressive. Yeah. Right? First team all league in a league that has KG, Duncan,
Weber,
whoever,
Rashid,
whatever positions they were playing, but
like that's what I'm saying. The same time, in the same token, I'm saying, like, that was the first time that I played with Steve being a superstar. Like, Stat was like, you was banging out, but I got 2 years with you, and then you was like, the way he came through, dog. Dikembe, Yao, Tim, like. Tim couldn't do nothing with him. Nothing with him.
If he had those guys on the move, I mean, he didn't need that. He could get on them if they were there.
His swing through and takeoff was.
But his, like, if he caught the ball and they were trying to recover on a pick and roll, like, it's like there's zero chance. And if they tried, it was ugly. And just he was gifted, fun to play with, fun to watch.
I definitely talked more stuff for him than he talked that whole season. Of dunks and stuff, it was like, yo, he making me jump with him. I'm out here at the 3-point line, and when he go up, I'm screaming, flexing, like, cause he.
Yeah. You know what's happening. Like, before he even gets the ball. Sometimes, like, oh, this is gonna be ugly. It was a gift for me. I mean, to play with him. He just had so many gifts physically, and he took to it. He didn't say, like, well, wait a minute, like, what should I post up? No, he was like, no, I'm happy picking and rolling, and
he embraced it
and going to work.
It was pick your poison. You couldn't do nothing.
Yeah.
If you let him go one-on-one, he was going at, around, over, through, whoever. Yeah. And at the second y'all come to help, one of us shooting your face off. Yeah. And after, like, the first however many games, we really started looking around each other like, it's starting to get a little crazy. Like, didn't really expect this.
Because like I said, we were picked out of the playoffs. We started the season hot, and it continued. And we started like 31-5. Yeah. Right? After people thought
last in the division.
We were going to make the playoffs, right? Whether it was last or whatever, we weren't supposed to make the list. So it'd be 31-5, and like you said, like, a lot of games were like not playing in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, like we came with 3 different game plans, and all 3 of them didn't work. We still got beat by 30 or 20 every game playing against y'all off that system y'all was playing. Joe Johnson emerged. Like, people didn't know Joe. Joe got drafted by the Celtics, and but when he played with y'all, it was like, who is Joe Johnson?
Right.
He's a threat. And then when he started getting on the ball, they used to put you to the side and let Joe.
Well, that was the sad part about Joe not staying around, was that, he could have. I mean, we never in my time in Phoenix really had that solidified backup point guard. Yeah. Now Joe's way greater than a backup point guard, but he could have done that too. Yeah. Right. Like, we could have had that guy that when I went out of the game, he could handle it. What happened a lot of times is, like, it wasn't about the backup as much as the way we played when I was on the court and the way we played when I was on the court. It didn't. It struggled to, and we never identified the way we were going to play when I was on the court. Whereas Joe, just because he's a great player, that's not a problem, right? So he could have emerged as an all-star wing player for us, but he also could have been an all-star point guard in the backup role, right? And
Yeah.
that was a shame in a sense because he would have served so many purposes for us.
Yeah.
But that year, like pushing the ball. First of all, we got out on the break, and teams couldn't stay with us.
Yeah.
Our conditioning and athleticism, the shooting, but also in the half court, the pick and roll, Amar'e diving, shooters.
Yeah.
Outside, it was almost new to the league,
Yeah.
and so now it's common. But at the time, it caught people.
It was the first.
They were exhausted,
Yeah.
and they didn't know how to game
ran it
plan.
up.
The funniest
initially.
part, though, is that people would always ask us during that year, like, man, what y'all do for the conditioning and what y'all do? Y'all be, like, we ain't do nothing special. We keep up with number 13. You want to shoot, you going to keep up.
Yeah.
Like, dead serious, you going to keep up.
Back-to-back MVPs. You know, we all want to win MVP. That's one of our dreams. And you get into D'Antoni's system, you feel yourself out, you got the knowledge coming from Dallas, and you went back-to-back MVPs. Like, how did that, like,
It was
it
incredible.
surreal?
You know, it was like, to be honest, like I never wanted to be MVP. I was like a one scholarship kid, like career backup when I got drafted, like kept pushing. I never ever thought like I want to be MVP of the league.
Yeah.
I wanted to like, can I be a starter? Can I be an all-star?
Mhm.
How many times can I be an all-star? You know, I could like to push myself, but I never even thought about being MVP. So, you know, it's just one of those crazy things that you know, the moment in time. It's strange now because like you look back on it and it was like to win it twice and then have my best year the third year and Dirk win it, like
Yeah.
deservedly so. Like there's no,
Yeah.
I'm not, but like it's strange. Like I don't like. First of all, I moved on after I finished playing. Like that, all that stuff is so far behind me.
Yeah.
Like I don't even like when if I see a clip of me that comes across my Instagram feed or something, I don't even relate to that person.
Right.
You know, like I really don't. Like
Yeah.
I've said goodbye to all that in a
Yeah.
sense. So, but like you do hear like the little bit of noise, like oh, like shouldn't have like won MVP and all
Yeah.
that stuff, and it's like it's just weird to look back and be like, at the time, I won 2 in a row and had my best year the third year.
Yeah.
But like, narratives change and it's just weird like to look back on. And I guess what I'm trying to say is like I just like left all that behind and moved on to be dad and
Yeah.
and try to like enjoy the rest of my life. So I kind of went on a like a tangent there, but it's like it's not something like I put a ton of thought into. It just feels weird and strange that was my life at one point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, for me to be there to be like your teammate for it, the biggest thing that I was the most impressed by, like you said, you spoke on it when you talked about your back injury. I don't think people really understand how hard you work to keep your
Body and
I don't even know what you called it with the bands and joints.
Yeah.
Like, bruh, you got to see my dude. I done walked in the gym before, and there's not a weight in sight. It ain't nothing over there it's a puddle of sweat on each side, and my man got the balls and the bands on him, and he turning in different ways. And I said, and I'm talking about dripping sweat, hard workout, boy.
Yeah.
Like, ready.
Yeah.
Probably looked crazy.
Yeah. It felt, you watch the game and you love the game and so forth on, and you see the history of it, but to see y'all as a duo, you and Dirk as a duo in Dallas, and you win MVP and then he win MVP, like how proud of him from them long nights, them being in the same apartment.
That means a lot. That means a lot because we both really were started at a low point, right?
Yeah.
Like we didn't come into the league as chosen ones, or we didn't come in the league heralded.
Yeah.
Dirk was drafted pretty high. I was drafted 15th. But I think still people like he's a nice player. Maybe he'll be a starter one day, but we'll see. So for us to go through the struggles we went through and then to both be there, in one sense it was disappointing because we could have played together and extended that run together.
Yeah.
On the other hand, to see him win a championship, to him win MVP, is incredibly rewarding for me, knowing what we went through at first. Like, one, how we got hammered by people,
Yeah.
in the media, the fans, took our lumps on the court. But, like, we kept pushing, kept growing, kept going back to the gym at night. We're there early, we're there late, like, never relented from, like, the work.
Yeah.
So to see it like that, for me, to be honest, like, this goes for Dirk as well, but in our relationship. But for me, like, when I won the MVP the first time, it was like, I was just so happy because of the example, like, it sets for kids. Like, you like, if you really, really want to be the best you can be, and you really, really will commit to it, and you won't listen to the naysayers, and you won't let adversity slow you down. That's what my story was. Is that I never stopped finding a way to believe. There were moments where I didn't believe, or I felt shitty, or didn't have the confidence, or felt down about myself, or didn't like the outlook, or was a non-believer. But those moments, I got over them quickly. And, like, believed again and fought again, like, and I mean quickly, like, and if I felt that way for an extended period of time, I never stopped working, right? So that, to me, is, like, what made me so happy, was that it was an example for young people that, you don't have to. It's not the chosen one only. Like, you can be
it's
the
possible.
late, like, you can be someone that's a late bloomer that finds a way that, sticks with it. And so that was really rewarding. And then the same thing to watch Dirk do it, I mean, it just was so inconceivable when we started in Dallas together, press conference where he had, the hoop earrings, the bowl cut. I had the frosted tips. Like, it's crazy. So
that was the sickest part for me. Like, when you won the MVP, it was crazy. Cause like you say, it said it sent a different message to the kids. It wasn't the person averaging 30, averaging 35 or
with
whatever,
all the
leading the league, and all of these different things.
He
was a guy, not like a big dude. He was a normal dude who looked like any regular person. He didn't do when I say a normal dude, your game wasn't something where, like, you see Michael Jordan, he jumping higher than anybody can imagine. Like, people can envision doing what you were doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, anybody could go out in the front yard and try your moves and do it and maybe not look like you, but it wasn't like you were jumping over things that they couldn't. So it was like, I could do what Steve Nash do.
100%.
And then to see, for me, the coolest part was to being your teammate. I got a chance to be around you and see. And I would tell all my friends, like, yo, what's up with Steve? What's Steve Nash? I'm like, bro, when we go out, he go out with us.
Yeah.
Like, no BS. It's not like, Steve, you weren't out trying to be like us you were being Steve Nash, but you were 100% with the group.
Yeah.
Wherever we at. We had barbecues, and I think that was one of the things that people didn't understand about our team that year that made us so special. From early, like you said, we came early. We were there in August working out. But right then, it was not like, it was just one of those things. We had a special group. Everybody clicked. Everybody hung out. Hey, we're going to have a barbecue. For, like 6 guys there. It wasn't like people was doing some real heavy lifting to get guys to come. It was just like we came together.
Yeah.
And then when you see guys like a Steve Nash, a Jake Voskuhl, we going out with, it's all black dudes going to the, to the black spots. But Jake Voskuhl read the Bible and stuff, but he was in with the group.
Team bonding.
You know what I'm saying? Steve Nash in the group. Like, when we start, I'm like, oh, Steve Nash out with us, bro. Like, for real, kicking it. Like, this is dope.
Yeah.
Then that translates to the court, and before you know it, like, we like this. We like everything we do. You got 5-6 guys at dinner on this trip. You got guys doing this or doing that together. We have a party on it at somebody's house. Everybody over there. You know what I'm saying? And that's what really be getting the teams like this before you know it. And then it's like, now we hooping. Everybody really cool with each other. And the biggest thing that Steve did, I know for a fact for me, because, we came from L.A., we were all, there's 6 of us, we all jockeying for position. I'm trying to score, he trying to score. That was the first time in my career in the NBA where you made me feel extremely comfortable. Give it up. You gonna get it back. I don't care. Like, you remember how you used to go sometimes, because Steve had to even explain to me one time, because I used to get, me, I'm thirsty. I get frustrated. I get the ball. Steve had to tell, like, hey, listen, the way we play, it may be a stretch where you don't get it 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
But then it's going to come back to you like 6 or 7 straight times. That was just how we played sometimes.
Yeah.
And once I started understanding that, and I understood, like I said, he made it easy because he was going to, it didn't matter what the play was doing. He had a special, like that was like that was his mutant power. Like, oh, Q tripping right now. I don't care what the play it is. I'm gonna figure out a way to get Q the ball because I don't want him to go off. I don't want him to go off. And he was the orchestrator. He was back there. That was what was most impressive because you had me, you had Tricks, you had Amar'e, you had dudes. You had to keep these personalities fed the right way. Otherwise, it would never have worked like it did.
Yeah.
And boy, Steve was amazing with that.
Yeah.
Giving up himself first though. So that's why I was like, that sent a whole different message to the kids out there. Like, you could be the MVP being unselfish, leading your team and not trying to score 30.
Yeah.
And he did that 2 years in a row.
Yeah. Double digits in assists. That original team that y'all had with Q got traded after that year.
Yeah.
Then y'all lost.
It was tough.
Y'all lost Joe Johnson. But the year y'all had with the original, I remember like the All-Star game, it was like a Phoenix Suns All-Star game doing the challenge and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You winning a 3-point contest. Like the whole year was just like a successful year.
Right.
But y'all trade Q. What was like different?
Well, it was
because it was like y'all couldn't get over the hump.
Well, what the biggest thing that changed from the first year is that we didn't play as fast anymore. So we were just as successful over like making the conference finals and stuff, but we didn't play as fast anymore. And when I look back, we lost some of our advantage by slowing down. Like, and I think at the time we played so fast that people were like, you can't win that way.
Yeah.
But the reality is, with our roster, we should have played faster.
Yeah.
Right? But it was so like unaccepted culturally by basketball and the media and the fans that it was like, this isn't going to work.
They folded.
Yeah. And so, you know, in a sense that we like the book 7 seconds or less, we didn't really play that way.
That's what when everybody said that to me, I was like, we have literally never talked about 7 seconds or less and all of this stuff. When they came out with that, I was kind of thrown off. Like, did somebody say this? Or?
I think Mike did say it sometimes, but like, you're right. It wasn't like
that wasn't our
on
motto.
the wall. You know, it wasn't. It just was the way we played.
Yeah.
But every year after that, we slowed down, and in a sense, we kind of succumbed to like the common
like
perception.
Y'all gave in because they trade Q for Kurt Thomas.
Yep. And even like I think I told you guys I watched a game in the 2007 San Antonio series and we beat San Antonio. It was the game Robert already checked me in at the end of to the scores table at the end of the game. We won that game to tie it 2-2 on the road. Like we were like we didn't know at the time, right? There was no analytics. Not that that's the be-all and end-all, but the game wasn't in a place where we understood, like, we should have doubled down and played faster.
Yeah.
We won that game playing Spurs style, and it really had no business winning that game and ended up losing the series, whether it's because of suspensions or not. We were playing the game their way.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter if, you know, like, it's a lot. That's not what you remember, but when you watch it, you know, you're like, whoa.
That was a key
we
moment.
didn't play that fast.
Right.
Like, we're struggling. We're swimming upstream to
Every
play with these guys.
Count.
You know what I mean? Like, everything's got to matter. Everything's got to matter so much. Whereas, you know, because they have Timmy and not Tony and Manu and everyone, but Timmy in that era, in that game, was so dominant, not even on the score sheet. Like, just defensively, he takes the space away. Offensively, he creates space. And, like, so in the speed of the game and the style of play in that era, he was perfect.
Yeah.
And that's why he's one of the best ever. But we, like, in a sense, like, tried to match him instead of, like, saying, okay, let's make Timmy play an extra 20 possessions tonight, right? Let's make him move 100 more times in different directions. You know, that wasn't acceptable necessarily. And so that's why Q leaves. We end up trading, was it Sean for a Shaq at some point? Yeah. Like, these things that, like, you know, actually brought us back to the pack instead of pushed us over the top.
Exactly. Back on the playing field with everybody else.
Yeah, like, we had to be extraordinary to keep our standards instead of, like, we can just play our game and be right in the top.
I can remember all of that. Like, when it happened, I couldn't believe, because I remember you calling me. I want to say you were at at Finn's wedding. You were at a bar or something.
Yeah.
Like, I'm seeing this shit go across the screen. Like, what the hell is going on? Like,
Yeah.
he called me, I want to say, from Finn's wedding. Like, yo, this is what's happening. Like, and then within the next few days, I think they signed Rajah Bell. That aggravated Joe because he was supposed to be the top priority in the first order of business before anything was done. He was mad because they had traded me before that happened. Then they signed another wing before that happened. He was like, oh, I'm done. And the craziest part about all of that is, remember at the beginning of the season, they could have locked him up for 36.
Right.
6 years, $36 million.
George Johnson.
They could have locked him up. But they were scared because they had just committed money to me and Steve.
Yeah.
Like they just bought the team. We were the first two guys, and I think they were just like, whoa. What are we getting?
Money going out,
you know, and they also weren't a bunch of billionaires.
Yeah.
You know, they're wealthy guys about the team, but they were like feeling their way into this. Unfortunately, we were on the cusp right away of something, and it wasn't great timing between them kind of getting their feet wet and figuring out what this was. And it wasn't, the NBA then was good, but it wasn't. These aren't $2 billion franchises. You know? Like, some people thought they overpaid at like $400 million or whatever it was. So they're thinking, okay, we may be overpaid to get in. Now we're in. We want to operate at a big loss and pay tax and all that stuff. So it just, the whole confluence of things didn't work in our favor in a sense.
Killed us out, dog. We could have got us.
But even more than that, it was just like the common thought was like, you can't win this way.
Yeah.
Right? And so when you lose, like, you shouldn't, like, nobody crushes a new team for losing the first year.
Yeah.
But we felt the weight of that because we were different.
Right away.
Right?
Because of
we were different.
System.
We played different.
Yeah.
So it was like,
they were waiting for it. They said it the entire year after they got used to, okay, they really are going to win like this the whole year. Then they said they not going to win when it matters. Right. Yeah. Like, even though they sweeping and they killing everybody, they said, well, when it matters, they can't win. You can't win in the playoffs like this. So, like, as soon as we lost, it was like, yes, we told you so.
Yeah.
And we remember Joe broke his face.
Yep.
He
missed the first few games of the finals, the Western Finals.
He came back for the last game.
Yeah.
That we lost in the conference finals, right? And he played great with a mask and healed. But, like, you know, we're talking about Joe Johnson.
Yeah.
To miss him as a young first-year team in that position.
Literally.
You know, I'm not saying, like, oh, we would have won, but, like, you don't know, right? Like, you don't know. Like,
I will say that I do feel confident if we would have had the two, like with our original team, the 2, 3, 4 year stretch at it, you know, taking shots at it and making adjustments, but keeping our core like team, man, I gotta believe we'd have got us 1 or 2. I got to.
Yeah.
We weren't gonna just keep losing to the Spurs like that. We would have figured them out. If we'd have saw them 2, 3 straight years in the conference finals, they weren't gonna just keep stopping us. Like, I just, every time I think about that, I'm like, this was crazy. They shorted us like crazy.
Yeah.
Everywhere. The video games, they put us on there as the Phoenix team, not any of the other ones, that first team.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is crazy.
You get traded to the Lakers. Why did you choose the Lakers?
A couple reasons. There is one main reason, which I'll get to, but 2 reasons. One, it was a good opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? 2, like, you look at the team, they're assembling. It's a good team.
Yeah.
But the second reason was I wanted to. This was the end of my career, and I wanted to be in the fire.
Yeah.
I didn't want to, like, go to a team where there wouldn't be any scrutiny or pressure. Or
no
this is my last opportunity, right, to play in this league for 3. Hopefully, at the time, it was a 3-year deal. I thought I could keep going after the deal, right? So I'm still thinking I can play for a while. But this 3 years because my last year in Phoenix, I made the All-Star game. I was 38, so I still thought I can do this.
Yeah.
I got this. I can keep this going. Like, I might not be like I was when I was 30, 31, but I'm still playing at a high level, and I can continue this.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be in the fire. I didn't want to, like, to go out to pasture, so to speak, in an easy situation where I was just whatever. So I remember actually asking Steve Kerr, who was around when he was a part of the ownership group when we went to Phoenix, and then he became the general manager of Phoenix. You know, he was doing TV at the time. I called him for his advice, and you know, I remember he saying it back to me when I said to him, "I was like, I want to go to the Lakers because I want to be in the fire. Like I want to play under pressure. But the main reason was that I was going through a divorce.
Yeah.
And my ex was in Phoenix, and the kids would have to stay with their mom. And my other two options were Toronto and New York. I don't know how I would see them, like that year. And I'm like, now I have 5 kids. Yeah. I'm like a dad first, and then arrange everything else in my life, all the stuff I'm doing around them. Yeah. So it's always been a priority to me. So like in the end, like that was the deal breaker in a sense. Like if there was a chance to get to LA, I'm going to LA because I could literally after practice fly to Phoenix, go to a kid's soccer practice, and come back. And
come right back night. And they won't feel
I could be with them for 4 or 5 hours and be back and be at practice early the next day, right? Like, so that was the reason. Yeah. But those other 2 reasons, wanting to be in the fire and, that there was potentially a great team, that's there too. But ultimately, it was a decision on family. But man, I can remember like really coming here believing that I have a lot left and I can't wait. Like I did everything. I prepared. I was ready, and it just wasn't meant to be. But for all of us together, wasn't meant to be. And then I broke my knee. Like I fractured my knee my second game in LA, and my body's never been the same since that. Like I still have nerve issues and feelings every day from breaking my knee or that joint in that way. It was a horrible, crazy and great experience. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it taught me a lot. I got to play for the Lakers in a sense, experience the franchise, the history. Yeah. I got to experience playing with those guys. The awful part, other than like not fulfilling my goal of like lighting it up here and like being a part of lifting a team up, it was the end of my career. And I wasn't ready to see that. So I worked out twice a day, basically. I played for the Lakers for over 2 years, basically retired in my, said enough in my 3rd training camp here. I worked out twice a day for over 2 years to try to make it work. Yeah. Like every home game for the Lakers, I didn't go sit on the court. I would go shoot around in the morning, injured, work out, treatment, work in the weight room, work on the court, go to the game. I'd watch the game and be in the weight room, like conditioning on the treadmill, lifting, like doing everything I could to get back out there. Yeah. Like maybe to a fault. Maybe I should have, 1, maybe I was doing too much. 2, maybe I should have supported my teammate in the flesh, but I wanted to support them by playing with them. Yeah. So I was like, I'm going to go crush myself again tonight.
When we got to the league, y'all had that 3-head monster with Finley, and y'all offense with Nelly. Nelly offense was like way different than everybody else's offense. Like, did you feel like y'all could have won in Dallas if y'all just stuck with the chemistry of Nelly's offense? Yeah, he was like advanced.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Nelly was he has a crazy creative basketball mind, was ahead of the game. He was on all the rules committees, you know what I mean? Like he was always pushing the boundaries on everything, and like he was the guy that would put like, I can't remember which way it was around, but he would put like Manute Bol on Muggsy Bogues. Right. Like I'm gonna sit off him and I'm gonna cover him from like 15 feet to the rim, and stuff like that like nobody would really try, but Nelly had no problem doing it. And Nelly was like a guy that loved to play off the elbows and put you in a position where if you get a catch tight on the elbow, it puts the defense in a weird position because the weak side is still 1 pass away, even the weak side corner if you're on the elbow. So everyone's like just a little bit out of their comfort zone. And so he loved the elbows. He loved 2- and 3-man games on one side, and he junked up the game. Like he'd play super small. Right. He'd play like we'll play fast. We'll play slow. He'd post me up sometimes, like different guys, like weird stuff that, he like would try and often like it would strangely work, and then you wouldn't see it again. And so he was so adaptable and creative, and so he's a basketball genius in some ways, because you consider like how like to get to that position and to be able to be so different, you have to be kind of crazy smart or creative. And so look, Mike, Dirk, and myself, like if we had to continue to go together, and you add like, you know, in the end they got Tyson Chandler.
Right.
Like if you had gotten the moment where we got somebody like that.
You know who I used to love with y'all that played with y'all was Marquise Daniels and Josh Howard.
Yeah.
You know what? Like those two guys are
I
guys.
Like them
Shout
too.
out
So we did
Keith
too.
and Josh.
They
Yeah.
played
Love-
so
love
well
those
for
guys.
y'all.
But
I
also-
thought they fit perfectly.
Exactly, because they could switch.
Yeah.
They could both make a play. You know, they could defend, like I said, multiple positions. And so they were versatile, and they could fit in around us or take over a little more when we weren't on the court,
Yeah.
right? So it was, and the problem was we never let it develop, right? Like it never got the chance to grow together for 5-6 years.
Yeah.
You know, like those guys probably came a year or two before I left,
Yeah.
right? And then a year or two after I left, Finn left. And
Yeah.
so where that sweet spot was and what the additions we could have made, we never saw it in a sense. So, but there's no reason why with like a couple, with those guys, and then like if a Tyson Chandler became available or somebody else, there's no reason why we couldn't have pushed and been a championship team.
You won MVP in D'Antoni system. You was the first to do it. You see James Harden, who could have won MVP 3 years in a row. You know what I'm saying? What's about D'Antoni's system at point guard?
Yeah.
You can have so much success if you have the skill level to achieve that.
It gave me an opportunity to be my best.
Yeah.
Same with James. It's not that easy though. Like it's like I think people think, well, in that system, but like, you know, like we had a hard time finding someone to play when I sat down, because it is a bit like over the course of, you can have a hot streak, but over the course of a season having to make all the decisions and being super efficient, it relies a lot on that player to be efficient and consistent over and over. So it allowed me, that's what I did well, was make decisions, be creative, distort the defense, put pressure on the defense. I think we're different players, but we both play cat and mouse, where we allow our scoring to make our passing more dangerous and our passing to make our scoring more dangerous, and put the defense in a bad position, right? Where they're constantly having to make really quick decisions. They no matter what decision they make could be wrong, right? So I don't know if I'm like trying to pump myself up by saying that like it's not as like, the system really allowed me to be at my best, but it was also exhausting.
But to see James Harden now, like, do you see similarities? Because you just said when you got out the game, you see him get out the game, and the whole team changed. You know, they had Chris Paul, now they got Westbrook. You know what I'm saying? Like, how you see the mistakes that you made in what Houston is doing with the system, same system now?
I think Houston's been incredible. Like, I think like people saying that like James and Chris didn't work is wrong. Yeah. Because like you look at the Warriors, they're historically great. Yeah. And they brought Chris Paul on, and they got this close to beating a historically great team. Historically 1, 2, or 3, I don't know. Yeah. Top 5. They got this close to beating him twice. Yeah. And they came from not really in the same ballpark. Yeah. That doesn't mean it didn't work. Yeah. That means it worked extraordinarily well. Yeah. They just never got over the hump. And sometimes that's a break. Yeah. You know? So I look, James Harden he's like, I can't even relate, you know, for someone at his size to do what he does. Yeah. And he's taken this era and embraced the way it's being played. You know, it's being played, and is like, you know, putting up numbers that are crazy. Yeah. I think it's a big success. Yeah. You know, they just happen to be going against the Warriors at a time when it's like
running into MJ in the 90s.
Right.
Out of your draft.
Ooh, the legendary.
If you had to play 3-on-3 to pick out of your draft, any player out of the draft, who's the other 2 players you'll want to play with you?
Oh. I mean, think you got to put Kobe in there.
Kobe. Bing.
Especially 3-on-3. Like,
that's cheating.
I mean, Murder's Row. Ray Allen. Allen Iverson. Like, you know, and more. I'm sure there's guys I'm forgetting, but like
Sharif Abdul-Rahim.
I mean, Reeve, like, I'm trying to think, like Marbury, Antoine Walker,
Cybertwan.
like so many.
That
There's
was a
more. There's
legendary
more. Like, I
draft.
feel like there's more that I'm forgetting that you would
Camby.
consider. Camby, like, you want a
You know
big,
what
but, you know, I play with Kobe and Camby.
That's
3-on-3,
crazy.
right?
Right there.
To have that big, but you don't know at the time, right?
Yeah.
You don't
Right.
know.
No.
Yeah.
You're just a bunch of young guys, and especially I graduated from college. A lot of them were younger than me, but like we're all young guys, like hoping to make an impact in the league, right?
Yeah.
Like Kobe at the time, we didn't really know as much about high school kids, so we knew Kobe was like this kind of prodigy, but we didn't know.
Yeah.
It wasn't on Instagram every day, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like taking a leap, like, and then, you know, so Allen Iverson, Kobe Bryant, like, these are some of the most influential players the league's ever seen. So it's crazy to look back and think that at the time we didn't know, you know, we knew nothing, Ray Allen and go down the line. But you look back and it's like a bunch of Hall of Famers, and it's incredible.
What's your take on youth hoops right now? Like with the whole social media evolvement and evolution of that, and how kid have clips and he's the hottest thing and he has 1,000 followers or whatever. Like, I feel like it's so different in a way. I would say, like, the purity of it is gone, because as soon as they rank the top 5th graders, the top 4th graders, the top 8. Like, how can you rank these kids? Like, the top 4th grader may never play basketball when he turns 8th grade. He may decide to play soccer or not even be in sports or anything.
Yeah.
So, like, what do you I say that to say, what do you think of that when you see all these kids with huge followings and their own ballers life and all that? It's cool, but I think it's kind of the gift and the curse.
100%. I think for better or for worse, it is what it is. We're not going back.
Right.
So you can't like long for the way we grew up.
Right.
Or whatever. It's not happening. So like you have to accept it. Then you just try to like, how can we find some balance here? And I would say the positive thing is like exposure. Kids get exposure. There's no secrets anymore. Everyone gets like when I grew up, I would love to know what a kid in Chicago is doing.
Right.
What's his moves? Like, what's his game? Like, what level is he at in the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade? Like, we never knew. You wouldn't know that if you're from somewhere else, right? Which I didn't know. So that is cool that the world's small. Like, a kid in any corner of the world can see what the best in his age is doing. So there's a lot of great things about it, and the exposure and the best practices and all that stuff. You know, I don't like the fact that we rank kids. You know, like, you can scout and you can say this is, like, I don't even mind, like, if you put it in a little more blunt, like, he's a 5-star, he's a blue chip. Okay, but like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's 100. Like, I think kids lose sight of like the long term and their development because of where am I ranked this week? Yeah. And it's like this week doesn't. It's like I tell my girls, like, my daughters play volleyball. They don't love it and like it. Yeah. You know, and they could be pretty good. They're pretty good. Yeah. They could be pretty good at it. I tell them, like, they think they're bad, and I'm like, that's a terrible, like, it does not matter who's best at 14. Right? Like, if you had to ask me where I fit in the world ranking at basketball when I was 14, straight up, no ranking. Right. Like, exactly. We're talking thousands, right? Yeah. So, like, don't get caught up in where you are this week. That's even like your senior year. Yeah. Like, just keep going. So I don't like that kids get so focused in on where their ranking is and that competitive nature of, like, of a ranking that means nothing. There's no reward. Like, what do you get? You don't get an NBA championship for being the 5th best in the country in 14, right? You don't get anything. So I don't like that. I'd like to see kids think about their long-term development instead of like likes.
Yeah,
Right?
so like make
right?
likes look,
Like, don't be influenced by likes, what other people like. Be influenced
how many
by what
followers you have.
be influenced by what is making you better every day. And frankly, like, sometimes you don't need to share with everyone. Like,
exactly.
you know, like, get focused.
Canada is bringing a lot of players to the NBA.
Boom.
A lot of players to college.
Mhm.
Like, to see you growing up in Canada, to see how it's developed to, like, these kids can come out of Canada and do their thing. You got the Andrew Wiggins, you know what I'm saying? And all these guys who make it to the league. Like, how do that feel?
It's incredible. I never ever thought it would be like this. I think Canada now is the second most NBA players in the world.
Crazy.
The U.S. I think going into this year, I think there's 15 guaranteed contracts.
Yeah.
Canadian kids. When I came into the league, it was Rick Fox, who I love,
One of
born
the
in
first,
Toronto,
yeah.
2 weeks old, moved to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Right. Bill Wennington, who was from Montreal, went to high
Bill
school
Wennington.
The Bulls.
went to high school in New York, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, that was it. So two
Yeah.
guys that, you know, I mean, I guess Billy's Canadian. He grew up there. But Rick, you know, like, he was born there as a Canadian mom, I think, but, like, grew up in the Bahamas. Now, like, legit, I think Toronto probably has more NBA players than New York City.
Yeah.
Right? Like, think about it, like, you know, even the greater Toronto area, think about, like, Jamal Murray, Shea,
Yeah.
Andrew
booming
Wiggins.
right now. They the output is
you know,
heavy.
booming right now.
Even, like, I mean, this year in the draft, Nikhil Alexander-Walker, I think, has a
Yeah.
huge future. Like,
Your
they're-
godson.
RJ, I mean,
RJ.
everyone knows RJ.
Yeah.
I mean, that's interesting to watch RJ go through this whole
Process.
mechanism,
Yeah.
right?
I saw you tweet because I think your soccer team lost, but you was like, "That's cool. I'm about to go watch my godson get picked." So it's, you know, I got a cool consolate. Like, that's dope. That's dope.
Have you ever imagined a team from Canada winning the championship? How
I mean, it's
crazy
bound to
and surreal
happen
is
one day,
this?
but no, not now. You know what I mean? Not like now. So it's you know, I work for the Warriors.
Yeah.
So I wanted the Warriors to win
Yeah.
deeply, but if I ever had to be happy on the losing side, is to see the country of Canada. Like, they were showing the games in movie theaters across the country. They were having, like, parties on the street. Big
They
screens.
recreated like 18 replicas of the Jurassic Park type venue. They did that at like different bars and different areas around town. Like
and across the country. Like, it's special to see the game grow and the franchise and the game to get its reward.
Yeah.
In a sense, you know, like. You can never take that away from them.
Yeah.
And so, like, that is a historic moment that all the kids, families, people will remember.
But you have to know, not so much for the championship, but I mean, going back to like the boom of the Canadian basketball, you have to feel somewhat responsible for that.
Yeah.
I don't ever look at it that way. If I had an influence, that's great.
You did.
I think
big influence.
I think there's a number of things. I think one, maybe myself and other guys showed a path that's possible that you didn't see before. Vince Carter.
Vince was huge too. He was absolutely
just to be like such an electrifying player in everyone's living room.
Yeah.
You know, for these young generation, that's the first kind of like superstar, and they saw him every night, right? Like that's important. Imagine if there was no Vince and there was like a team that struggled and there wasn't like that one guy.
I would say Damon and Vince were the beginning.
Damon was huge too. A little before this generation, but he gave it something out the gates.
Started it out.
Like he was great.
Yeah.
And a figure that everyone, and a little guy that everyone can relate to.
There you go. That's what I mean.
Like, hold on.
That aspect of it is
Damon
big to me.
Nice.
Incredible. And a lot of kids could say, I can play this game. I don't have to be
there you go.
Tall. But I think for Canada's sake, you know, like the growth we're seeing now is the Raptors, Vince, Damon, you know, the internet. Like we just spoke about, just being out, like it opened the world up to people. Because Toronto's like, I don't know, like 8 million people, right? It's like, I don't know, the third, fourth biggest city in North America or whatever it may be. So you have a lot of people, a lot of great athletes. Now basketball's in everyone's living room. There's hoops going up in driveways everywhere. There's people wanting to coach, kids wanting to play. And then the AAU thing. So AAU is not perfect, but a lot of Canadian kids got to play AAU, and like
opportunity for people to see them.
That, and they got to play against the best kids in the States every weekend for like whatever it is, 5-10 weeks.
Right.
It's like a pro tour, right?
Should they retire Kawhi's jersey?
It's a great question. I mean, I don't see why not. In that, like, hopefully they win a bunch of championships. But if they don't win another championship in the next 10, 15 years, and it doesn't look like they're on the verge of that time, why wouldn't you?
The man
retire the jersey. He gave you the game is about winning championships. He won you a championship.
Got on that.
And if it's, I could see it if they win 5-6 more. Now maybe like, okay, but like he gave you the ultimate.
He's Neo,
right?
To the Matrix. He's Neo. He is Neo. He is the man out there. Like boy, he came in 8-9 months. And did what nobody else could do in the history. Like, it's bigger to me, in my opinion. DeMar DeRozan is the greatest Raptor, like in the history. Like as far as stats and everything he did, how he repped for the city, wanted to be there. And he came and almost just took that over in 8-9 months.
Well, listen, I love DeMar, great player.
Love him.
Kawhi is on it. Is there's not like he's a different animal. He just is like. As like no disrespect to Amar'e is an incredible player, but Kawhi is, he's a different animal.
Like, he doesn't sweat.
And by the way, like they don't think he was healthy.
Yeah, he didn't look healthy.
Do you know what I mean?
He was laboring his left knee. That's why he's a robot.
He can just drag you around the court and drop you off and get where he wants to go, and he's not 100%.
Yeah,
and I'm strong.
Right,
I'm strong out here, and I'm gonna get at you on this other end.
I've seen clips of you working with Steph or working with Golden State. Like how much joy did that brings to you to like give your knowledge to the youth or the players of that level today?
It's fun. With the Warriors, I think I work most closely with Kevin Durant, and but I'm there to like. For any of them, they want it. Like they don't need me.
Yeah.
But it is a great experience for me to give back.
Yeah.
And it's a great experience to like learn.
Yeah.
Like to watch how they do things.
How they do it.
And how they've moved the needle in different directions and their greatness and how their personality manifests itself. So it's nice if I can have an impact on any of these guys. But I learn as much from them. Without them knowing it, just watching, observing, seeing how they handle situations, seeing what they've brought to the table, how they've pushed the game in the direction that their personality and skill set takes them. So that's a thrill for me. It's rewarding to be able to help, but it's equally as exciting to watch these great players, show me
how they impressed were you with like you saying you work with KD? Because I've gotten the chance to get to know him a little bit just talking to him, and the thing that I've been most impressed about him about that I didn't know before talking to him was his thirst for for the game, to get better at the game, to learn more about the game, to be more of a perfectionist at the game. As far as like. How a lot of guys get in and they get good, they get caught up in certain things. For me, when I look at him, he's one of the few guys who is legit hoop purist, who want to just hoop. He want to try and figure out ways to perfect his game, to get better, to become tougher to guard, to master different things that other greats have mastered. Like that's what he talks about ad nauseum all the time. So I mean, you being one of those greats, HOF, back-to-back MVP. I know he was all over you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like he is a hooper. Like he like his life. He doesn't. I think he needs. Let me make sure I say this the right way, because Kevin's a sophisticated guy who was doing a lot of great things, charitable, business wise. Right. He has a lot of interest. I think the reason he left OKC, left Golden State, is because he's curious, he's courageous, he wants different experiences.
He wants to push the ball.
He wants to try new things and learn and grow and live life, right? But like when it comes down to it, he is a hooper. Like he wants to play basketball, almost to a fault. And I'll say this because like I always try to push Kevin, like, okay, you're getting late 20s, like I want you to be religious with like your activation and corrective exercises and all that stuff. Like every time you're gonna touch the wood, you know, and shoot, I want you to do your exercises. And he was great, but I think like Kevin's just like, just get me on the court and give me the ball. I want to work out and I want to shoot. I want to play 1-on-1. I want to play.
He want to talk about it, learn about it.
He knows he know like the history.
He know the history.
He hears everything. He learns and understands and respects, and eats it all up.
That part right there, I was like still extremely impressed of how much how he wants to be more efficient and be this and be that, and how not only I'm not talking about it, I'm going to go watch this, I'm going to watch that. Right. And when I can get to it, I'm going to work at it, I'm going to do everything.
6'9" shooting and dribble like that. That's
6'11". His mobility, skill level, and like he's one of the all-time greats. Yeah. And like, you know, I love that he, like, sometimes we get to a stage of careers, like, you know, like, I just want to work out and I just want to, like, I want to lift my weights, I want to work out, and I'll be ready for season. I like, if a game breaks out anywhere, he's down to play. He loves the game of basketball in that pure way that, like, if a game broke out and he had tennies on, he might jump in. Yeah. No matter who's playing, right? Yeah. Like even today, you know, you get more selective as you get older. I still feel like he just has that Jones in him where he wants to play.
Has a pair of hoop sneakers all the time. Right. Oh wait, we hooping? Wait, hold on. You know what I'm saying?
And by the way, if I had his game, I would too.
Word, man. Straight up. He's a killer.
I mean, you roll in any court and it's like
I'm the best.
As usual, right?
You got a TNT hosting job. Like, you're not a guy, you kind of, I feel like you like me. You're not a camera, microphone guy.
Right. Here we are with cameras and microphones. But you're right though. I'm not. And so I did I didn't set out to do it, and I got, you know, I think everyone knows by now I'm a huge soccer fan, and I got approached last year from Bleacher Report and TNT to cover the Champions League, which is the best soccer competition, all the best teams in Europe, and so for me as a big fan, I was like, okay, I didn't want to do like TV, but this is something I got to try. I can't pass it up because this is what I do anyways. Right. I like geek out on soccer all day long. Yeah. So I tried it and loved it. And so this year is year 2, and I'm going to do some segments for Tuesday Night NBA on TNT. Since it's in the same family, and you know, I'm going to do a little bit and just see how it goes, and hopefully grow and build something that is is entertaining to people. But you know, it really started from a place where I didn't want to do it. Yeah. And then I got the opportunity to do soccer as a basketball player. Like, you don't get those opportunities. Yeah. So I took it, and here I am now, creeping into NBA, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, I'm okay at it, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, that's how I was with this. It's like, you got to do something that makes you uncomfortable. Yeah. Never know, you might like it.
You don't seem uncomfortable. Like, you're like running this like a vet.
Yeah, this is my second season, so I'm kind of feeling myself right now. You know what I'm saying?
I'm impressed.
You feel me? Live on location. We out here. My main man, Steve, he brought us into his residence, into his home. We want to show our appreciation, bro. We appreciate you for coming through and letting us rock with you. This is the special edition Knuckleheads VSOP bottle. They got the little, little logo on the side demo. You know what I'm saying?
Zoom in on that. Wow.
So you know what I'm saying, man. We appreciate you, man. This was major.
This is going up in the house.
See?
Come back season 10, we'll crack it.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.